All right, what's up, y'all? It's it's me again. Um, I didn't post yesterday. That's my fault. My phone storage has been really bad. I might have to buy more or just delete a bunch of stuff off my phone. But um, yeah, videos probably are gonna get shorter. Not so much an hour anymore. Um, yeah, been a good couple of days that we've been having. Um, I still haven't. I've been falling short. Like I haven't I've still been smoking, I've still been vaping. Not vape, well, vaping. Still doing my addictions. Trying to work on not doing them. Um, but something I realized is that the reason I like to chief the za so much is because of the numbness. And something that um I don't know what verse it is, but basically I am afraid of feeling, and I'm not going to go into detail as to why I'm afraid of feeling. Just a lot of emotional and mental trauma. Nothing physical. I've never been physically traumatized, uh, to the extent of my knowledge, but emotionally, I don't like to feel pain, sorrow. I don't like to mourn. A lot of people don't like that, but I try to escape it so much that I think that's the root cause of my addictions is just escaping my mental and emotional trauma. And I was reading, and something caught my eye in Second Samuel. Second Samuel chapter 6 verse 21 says, so what happened is that David had led his armies um, to they had beat the Philistines, I think. They had just defeated the Philistines, and they're moving the Ark of God to Jerusalem, and they're excited, happy, celebrating that they got it back. And in verse 21, his wife, I'm going to say Michael, even though it's his wife, it's spelled Michal. So I'm just going to say Michael. But she's like, not berating him, but like, I'll just read it. She said in disgust, how distinguished the king of Israel looked today, shamelessly exposing himself to the servant girls like any vulgar person might do. Verse 21 starts saying, David retorted to Michal, I was dancing before the Lord, who chose me above your father and all his family. He appointed me as the leader of Israel, the people of the Lord. So I celebrate before the Lord. Yes, and I am willing to look even more foolish than this, even to be humiliated in my own eyes, but those servant girls you mentioned will indeed think I am distinguished. So that right there doesn't more so have to do with feelings of sorrow and remorse. We could go to other verses of David. Um, um, I'm not too sure. I can't find because David. Um, kind of lost my train of thought there. We'll just skip that. But so in that verse, the way I see it is that don't be afraid. Essentially, the message I'm receiving is to have strength and courage and to just not be afraid and to not think in a socially normal way. Um, as David said, I'll read it again. Sorry, I'm kind of lost here. I'm still not too familiar. But as he said, yes, and I am willing to look even more foolish than this. So don't be discouraged. Don't be afraid. The Lord is with you. Um, I can't think. Sorry. But like, when you are going through something that is challenging, you can find yourself in the Lord. Um, like David said, he's willing to look more foolish. So when you have something, like if you aren't satisfied with yourself, um, it's okay. It's okay to not be where you want to be, doing the things you want to do. I wouldn't say you necessarily have to accept those things. Acceptance is different than acknowledgement, but acknowledging your faults and acknowledging problems that you have with yourself are going to give you a gift that you won't even be able to fully understand right away. You know, like, um, how would I relate this to my life? I don't get women. I guess I would say kind of, well, my love life is pretty trash, I won't lie. But being comfortable with being yourself and being vulnerable makes social just being in a social environment um easy. Like like David said, I'm willing to look more foolish. Being you and being the person that God made you to be is what I would say is your second most priority besides preaching the gospels. Doing what God made you to do and being the person God made you to be is shameless. Um, you should be okay with looking like a fool. You should be okay when others look at you with either disgust or contempt or um, just weird, like thinking you're weird. Like, it's okay. It's not. That's enough. Ah, wow. So I have a big issue with being called weird. I don't like being called weird. Kind of just makes me feel bad about myself. But being okay with who you are and what you do is of utmost importance. And it's not even necessarily being okay with it. It's finding yourself, finding your calling, and then doing it to the best of your ability. It's not even about being okay with it. It's about doing the best you can with what you have and who you are. Like if someone's good in construction, they're obviously going to become a foreman and they're going to go in a direction that is going to best benefit them in construction. Someone is funny, they're probably going to be a comedian, they're going to be an actor. You know, you only you can represent yourself. Other people can speak about you, but when it comes to the bottom line, you represent yourself. And trying to focus on giving yourself a good image is ultimately, I would say, fake. Um, Giving an image, trying to portray an image that is socially acceptable or will have others look on you with favor, I would say is like will kill you. Like when I used to try to people please and I mean I still do sometimes, but when I used to try to people please, it was draining mentally. When you're always looking out for other people and trying to satisfy other people's needs and make sure that they feel comfortable in your presence, that is mentally draining. You will drain your own life force trying to contain yourself for others. It is not healthy. And I can say that firsthand with experience. But if someone isn't comfortable with you being you, you don't have the problem. Unless you're obviously like causing mayhem and you're making things like uncomfortable, then yeah, like if you're a fucking if you are a let's say you're at a bar and you see some people and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to go up to them and talk to them." And you just start like forcing yourself into their conversation. Obviously, that's a little disturbing. If you go up and you're polite and you are showing you're giving them an opportunity to see you, they would then either accept you or reject you. And now either outcome isn't good or bad. Isn't good or bad. If they reject you for being you, you were never meant to hang out with those people in the first place. If they accept you, then that is a bond forming. That is showing that you have found people who will accept you for you, not necessarily that that you give them something, that you it's not like a trade-off. It's just an acceptance of who you are. It's a bond forming. It's not like a transaction. They're not saying like, "Oh, you make me laugh. That's why I want you around." No, if you are able to be yourself, there's nothing more like fulfilling than that, than being able to just be your unfiltered, uncontrolled self, you know? Like I'm pretty vocally loud. When I'm around certain people and I start getting loud, they look at me like, you know, that's kind of a cue for me to tone it down. But it also goes to show that like there's other people who don't make faces, that don't feel uncomfortable, that don't um judge me for being loud. Like a big joke is like from when I was in kindergarten until now, I haven't known how to stop talking. Some people have not appreciated, but it doesn't bother them that I like to talk. Other people, it bothers them when I speak. When I am speaking, some people are genuinely bothered when I speak. Now, that isn't necessarily to say that either person is bad or rude or whatever, but the person who is bothered from me speaking probably isn't going to give me fulfillment, probably isn't going to be a great friend, family member, partner, whatever. If something you do that we all know like social norms that are acceptable, if someone is like judging you for being you in a sense that isn't destructive, that person does not belong in your life. That person does not deserve to get to know you. That person does not deserve your time. Now, obviously, for the sake of Jesus Christ, we'll preach the gospel to them. We'll try and bring them to Christ. But in the same way that Jesus rejected the Philistines for religious persecution, you cannot let someone persecute you for being you. It's wow, that's actually a great parallel. Um, Jesus calls out not the Philistines, the Pharisees. Calls out the Pharisees because they are holding up Mosaic law when they are really just using religion to benefit themselves. But Christ comes along and says, "You brood of vipers," you know? So when you are at an event, maybe just like something social, work, if you are being, what's the word? I can't think of words right now. If you are being looked at or talked about in a way that isn't true to what or who you are, or if it bothers people, like the Pharisees were bothered by Jesus. Not because of who he was, not because of his how he moved, like what he physically did, not because he preached a different way from what they what they knew to be true. Jesus came along and brought about something completely different. Now, you in a scenario, let's say you're living in Nazi Germany, right? And you're a German, and let's say you're a commander, a captain, whatever, and you go into a briefing room and you say, "Hey, I don't think that we should be killing all these people. I think we should actually stop the war." Do you know how many people are in that room are going to look at you like, "Huh? Are you stupid? Are you dumb?" Letting other people control your thought, your actions, your you is not right. It's not right. It's not how you should go about life. I'm still figuring this out myself. But just a parallel that I saw there with David, and like same thing with like the morning. Like, I wish I had it highlighted. Like, it's okay to feel the bad emotions, the emotions, because how can you feel good if you don't feel bad, you know? But understanding that you don't need to be a certain way for other people, that you can be yourself, is the best way, I would say, to live, is just being who you know you are. Because there are so many people that just destroy themselves for validation, for money, for ego, pride. Like, people do things with a goal or an objective in mind. That's not to say it's bad to have a goal or objective, but if you're going up to a girl, let's say at the bar, and you're going up to her with lustful intentions, first of all, she's gonna be able to spot that pretty fast, pretty easily. Second of all, you're putting an image of yourself that you yourself wouldn't even like. Like think about it in a reversed kind of way. Imagine if you're watching yourself walk up to someone and you're watching yourself act the way you're acting with lustful intention. I would say even you yourself are going to look with a little bit of like this is all within the bounds of living in a correct way, of course. Not to say like living lustful is obviously wrong, right? But like still be you can still go up to that girl without the intention of lust, without the intention of a goal or um like a plan in mind. Just go up to that person, talk to them, figure out who they are, look at them as a human being because that's what they are, you know. And then if they reject you, that's okay. They were never meant to be in your life then. They were never meant to be a part of your tribe because they think differently, they move differently. Everyone moves differently. Not now there's not a bad way or a good way. Outright there is, but like down to like the minuscule parts, I would say there isn't like a good or bad. Like if someone uses a blue toothbrush and someone uses a red toothbrush, neither person is a bad person. One just likes the red toothbrush, the other likes the blue toothbrush. If you can see what I'm saying there. But now let's say killing a white person, killing a black person, both equally wrong, regardless of status, race, gender. Equal. That's another thing is like seeing people as equals to yourself. If you're going in with the inclination or intention that I am better or this person is better than me, that will also destroy social norms because we're all created in the image of God. We're all equal. We're all human beings. No one really has, like, nobody is better than the other person, just relatively speaking. Not like there's obviously really good people and there's really bad people, obviously. But in a relative sense, we're all human beings. We're all equal. You know, we're not Like we're not hierarchical. We shouldn't be, at least. Um, but yeah, like God created you basically to just outro here. God created you for a purpose. He has something in mind for you that you might not understand yet. But if you give yourself to the world, then God's plan for you will obviously not come true. It will not come to fruition. You need to live in accordance with yourself and with God, hand in hand. Because a lot of people say, I'm going to live for myself. Well, that can lead you down to lust, addiction, pride, ego, sloth, laziness. Those are some of my sins. But if you live with yourself in accordance to God, boom, right? Unity with God. I'm someone who loves comedy and loves to laugh. I would say 99% of comedians nowadays swear in their skits. I'm trying to quit swearing. So to live, and I've asked a couple people, some people say swearing isn't a sin, some people say it is. I would say, just in general, swearing is a evolution of language. When you have to replace a word like this is abhorrent behavior, or someone would just say, what the fuck are you doing? Same thing, but one is more violent and one is more devolved language, and the other is precise and it speaks truth. If someone punches someone in the face, you say that's abhorrent behavior. They're going to understand. Boom. And they're not going to get that feeling of charged. I like to say it as like a charged feeling. So like when I say fuck, I feel charged. I feel powerful. I feel almost omnipotent. Yeah. Like when I use words like that in the manner that I use it, if you're kind of catching my drift here, I'm kind of going zigzaggy, but like you don't need to use language, even if whether it's a sin or not. Using language in a volatile and devolved way just serves no purpose. It doesn't help anyone. So like for me, if I were to, I love making people laugh. So if I'm trying to come up with something comedic, and I just say, and I'm just like, holy I'm not much of a comedian per se. I like to just make people laugh, I guess. But let's say I trip and I fall and I go, fuck, ow, fuck, that hurt. Like it's still funny, but now I'm devolving and violently perverting my language when I could say, let's say I trip on a sidewalk. This isn't going to be funny. It's just what I can think of, but I trip on the sidewalk and I say, "Bro, who put that sidewalk there?" Now, granted, that's not a very funny example, but to be creative and to maneuver yourself in a way that's in accordance with God, you know? Like, I didn't swear, I didn't pervert my language, I didn't have an underlying meaning that is perverted. Um, I just, who put that sidewalk there? Simple, easy, to the point, and you understand what I'm getting at, you know? I have a hard time stringing together a full cohesive thought. I don't know. It's probably easy to tell, but being able to live in accordance with God, I would say is like I'm still going through that process. Like I thought, I thought it was going to be immediate. I thought as soon as I started reading my Bible, I'd start changing. You don't. especially if you're far from the faith like I am. Because yeah, like I already kind of told my story in the first video, but like I thought I knew it. I thought I had it, you know. And now that I've fallen so far from God, it's like not even like an not even like a full 10 pages in here gives me the satisfaction that I'm looking for. You know, I realize now that's gonna be slow. It's gonna be gradual. It's gonna take time, and it's gonna be hard. But I'm past that point where like I can really change immediately, or I can make an immediate change. It's gonna be a slow grind, and but it's fulfilling. Like I love reading this stuff and just like changing my perception and my thoughts on certain things. I don't know. I like to be able to learn and change and basically evolve. I like evolution. I like new understandings. I like new things. I like to progress, you know? And that's kind of what this all is it's the journey of progression. But yeah, like there's nothing or no one that you can get out of life that's going to fulfill you permanently besides God, as far as I know. I haven't, as far as I know as well, really felt the presence of God, but everything that I've looked to and looked for has not like fulfilled me in the way that I want. Like I want this sense of like I'm looking for almost like a sense of peace that I've just never felt. Like I want to feel in the right place, in the right time, doing the right things. I want all those things to feel cohesive and right. But it just doesn't right now, you know? Like you've got to live in accordance with yourself and God. Like if back to the construction worker. Imagine if the construction worker worked at McDonald's. How mentally in pain do you think he'd be sitting at that till 8 hours a day, taking rude people's orders, getting cussed at, yelled at, uh, just standing there? That's one thing that I hate is standing in place. Like I work at a bank and I stand in place 8 hours a day. And it is like some of the most tormenting stuff I have. I worked at Shields too. Like it is torturous to just stand in place for hours on end. It is awful. But I know that I'm meant to do something else. And that something else hasn't really come up yet, but I know the things that I enjoy and I know the things that I like to do. Now I need to take those things and put them in accordance with God. So like what's what I'm trying to like take basically take your goals and ambitions and then compare them, maybe not compare, and then just cross them, maybe cross them with what God says and just see how that goes. Like see where it takes you. Of like a lot of people say that God is controlling and he wants provision over your life. That is true in a sense. But God wants you to do the things that you're meant for and that you want to do just in accordance with him, you know, living to his standard with what you want to do. It's like it's a meeting point. It's not like one's higher than the other. It's a meeting point, saying that, like me again, I love to make people laugh. How can I make people laugh in a way that God can accept and glorifies him and puts him still above myself? Still putting him above myself, but living in accordance. So, like, there's this living in God's standard in accordance with myself, but then still putting that above myself, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just wanted to do a brief conversation about that. I'm gonna start trying to make more cohesive videos that have like a plot and like subpoints and like kind of just all are better put together. But that's gonna take some time. And I'm just gonna keep reading, But I'm about to hop on the game, play some 2K, stream it. So I'll end here with a prayer quick. That first video I did a prayer, and I kind of just went off riff. I think we'll end every video with just the Lord's Prayer. Simple, easy, and there's no burden involved. It's the Lord's Prayer. So if you'll bow your head with me, we can get started. And I did see a video about prayer too, and how to pray. So I am going to be just a little bit quieter for the first like 10 seconds or however long it takes for when I feel right to start, which is also what you should do. But Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Alright, y'all. Whoever watches this, peace out. I'll see ya.